Up here in the north of England, in Yorkshire, and I suspect on most rivers where people go fly fishing, the two main groups of flies which we're interested in are the ephemeroptera, or the flies with up wings, like the mayflies, iron blue duns, and so on, and the trichoptera. These are the flies which have a wing like a roof, and they're commonly known as sedges. But in this part of the world, at this time of year, which is April, May, we are interested, or have been interested in the past, in the plecoptera. These are known as needle flies, or stoneflies, and they have 4 wings which lie flat on top of the body. Most of them are very small, which is why we call them needle flies. They just look like a little thin thing. But in this part of the world, on these acid rivers coming off the Pennines, we get huge stoneflies. The Latin name is Perla microcephala, says he, having a sneaky look at his crib. And the nymphs are enormous, 2-3 inches long. You find them in New Zealand as well, where they're known as toe biters, because if you wade in the water in your bare feet, these things nip your toes. They've sort of piercing mouth parts they've got. I don't know whether that happens up here. But my grandfather fished the River Eden, just downstream of Kirby Stephen, on a farm called Lyons, for 30 years, from about 1920 up till he died in 1949. And at this time of year, he and his buddies used to get quite excited about what was called creeper fishing. And they went down at this time of year in the gravelly runs on the edge of rivers to collect creepers, which they kept in a baccy tin with holes in the top, and they just kept them on this wet moss inside the tin. At this time of year, these large stonefly nymphs leave their sort of hiding places in the gravelly runs and stony runs of these fast-flowing rivers to emerge as the fly. And many of them used to get caught in the current and carried away downstream. They're a hell of a mouthful for a little trout. And at this time of year, trout in northern streams absolutely gorge themselves on these things, almost to the exclusion of everything else. So if you're fishing with partridge and orange or other North Country spotted flies, snipe and purple, waterhen blowers or March browns, particularly when it's cold like it is at the moment, it's very, very difficult to catch flies. I'm not surprised if they're eating these large nymphs. Why would you want to chase round after some tiny little thing? When they emerge, the female has great big wings and is a big fly, but you don't normally see it because once they emerge, they tend to hide, and they only fly at night. And you can fish with them attached to a hook, although it's difficult to cast them because they keep coming off. But the nymph is another matter altogether. The male of the fly has little tiny wings, and it doesn't, I think maybe it's incapable of flying, I don't know. So I'll have a look at this creeper fishing. It's not mentioned in Ronald's book, which was published in the early 1800s, but it is mentioned in Pritt's book, which was published in the 1890s, and it's certainly mentioned in Edmonds and Lee's stream and river trouting, and it's mentioned in a big way in a difficult book to get hold of called Fishing in Eden by William Nelson, which was published in 1922. It's bait fishing. It's a bit like fishing with worms, which is still a popular way of fishing for trout in this part of the world, especially on the River Eden, in the Kirby Stephen area, where they catch large trout there. I mean, they don't stock; they're just wild fish, and a good size. 2 pounds is a nice trout, and we don't get anything like that on our side of the Pennines. This is Pritt's book from 1885, that's his chapter on it. An interesting little paragraph there. He even gives a date then. Warm spring weather will be about the 24th of April. And it certainly isn't in 2013. It's freezing cold. It's amazing how these old anglers personalise them. It's not it, it's he. I suspect most of them are female, so it should be she. And then it tells you how to, a little bit there about how you fish for it with 2 hooks. It's like a pennel style end gear. I'll have a look at it in a minute. This is from Edmonds and Lee's wonderful little book. You can get it now in reprint. And again, he tells you there how to tackle up to fish for creepers, or fish with creepers. And this is from William Nelson's book, Fishing in Eden. He knows it as Perla bicordata. Let's just have a look at it. And of course he mentions there that it's a form of bait fishing, and bait fishing for trout in some waters is decidedly no go. On some waters it's very difficult to persuade people to go wet fly fishing. The dry fly being the only true form of fly fishing on some water. A throwback to Halford, who fished the southern chalk streams. And Nelson gives this illustration of the stonefly and the larva of it, the creeper, and a little bit of advice about where to fish for them, where to use them for fishing. Interesting little statement there, which might account for my lack of fish this year so far. The great gorge on creepers and stoneflies puts the trout off other food, both at the time it's on and for a few days afterwards. It's a very short season, only about 3 or 4 weeks, and then on the River Eden they go fishing with bustard flies. These are representatives of large moths made from sort of pale owl feathers, which I've never heard of apart from on the Eden. It's certainly they're certainly not used over here on the east side of the Pennines. This is a photograph of a large stonefly nymph from Goddard's excellent little book, The Waterside Guide. That's the fly which it turns into. It's a big thing when you see it flying. It's a big thing. They scuttle across the surface very rapidly. They tend not to take off into the air when they first emerge. They just go shooting across the surface and find somewhere to hide. This is from a 1930s Hardy's catalogue. So you can see there, you can buy the tackle. In fact, you can buy 2 and 6 in all money. You get 12 lots. And just across on the page, it's J. So there you can see this is the tackle which you use for creepers. The hooks are slightly different sizes. The one at the end is size 3, the old size 3. And this one here is a size 2. The old size 2. So, just comparing modern hooks. This is a size 14 Captain Hamilton hook, which is equivalent to the old size 3, and this is a size 16, which is equivalent to the old size 2. These other numbers are even older still, I think. It says there. How things change. So to tie this tackle you need one of each of these for these creepers. So I'll tie the tackle and then I'll go down to the river and get some creepers and have a go at this. See how we get on. So I've just tied a couple of these creeper tackles. This one is a 14 and a 16, and I've just tied a 16 and an 18. This is on £5 mono. This one much later on, £3 mono. All we need now is a few creepers and put them on and see how we get on. So we'll go and give this a go. Just drift it down the edges and see whether we have any success with it. So there's the creeper mounted on the hook. One hook's through the abdomen near the end, and the other hook is through the thorax. You just notice it's a bright yellow colour underneath, which is very attractive to trout. So it'll just be a little side cast down the side of the water. I don't think you better chuck this thing backwards and forwards somehow. It'll just come off. Anyway, we'll give it a go and see what we get. That's all we need. Bloody great hailstones. Thank God. temperature's fallen to about 0. So there's a little, I think it's a stockfish. Stocked earlier in the year. It's got that nice pink look about it there. It'll be about a pound now, I think. A grand little fish just caught on a nymph. So, really pleasing. A little trout. And a feisty bag. You tell, just look at that dorsal fin there. Stockfish always have that, something being cramped together there. It's not perfect, and it's also missing the pelvic fin, wherever it's been. Anyway, I'll give it another day, put it back in.
Isn't that a beauty? It's a little wild brownie. That's all it'll be. Half a pound maybe. But it's absolutely stunning little fish. Beautifully marked. Perfect. Let's put him back in. Oh well, on the dry fly. Yeah. I've drifted that creeper down every bank, hole, you name it, and never got a touch. Not a touch. I suspect it'll work better when the river's warmer. It's a strange way of fishing because in order to get these creepers you have to disturb the river bed, which is not a brilliant idea. And of course they're like live bait. It is definitely bait fishing. It's not fly fishing at all. And that's probably why it's declined in popularity. Well, I just had that one little wild brownie on a small cling hammer. Nice to see, first fish of the season. Well, actually second fish of the season, but first wild fish of the season. But there's a right storm brewing over here. Real humdinger. The sun's just about to go behind the clouds. So, from the banks of the River Ure in north of England, I wish you